When I walked into my birthday party, every conversation stopped, glasses froze mid-air and the room fell silent. I could feel every pair of eyes fixed on me, on the bruise blooming around my left eye. My name is Helen Ward. 70 years old. That day, what should have been a celebration, turned into the night. I lost my son and found myself again. Jason, my only child, stood at the center of the room beside his wife Vanessa, when someone gasped and asked, "What happened to me?" Jason said, calm and proud, "It was my wife who put her in her place so she'd learn some respect." The silence that followed was unbearable. But before I tell you how I ended up humiliated in front of everyone I loved, you need to understand how it all began. It started 3 years earlier when my husband Robert passed away suddenly from a heart attack. We'd been married 42 years. He was my anchor, my calm, my reason after his death. The world lost its colour. Jason stayed with me. "You won't be alone, Mom." He said he worked long hours, but we still shared coffee in the mornings, movies on Sundays. I thought we'd face grief together. Then one day he brought home Vanessa, a woman with magazine beauty and an ice-cold smile, hidden behind perfect manners. From the first moment, something about her felt off. "Miss Ward," she said, hugging me. "It's such a pleasure to meet the woman who raised such a wonderful man." Her words were sweet, but her eyes calculating. Back then, I didn't know that hug was the first step in a quiet, devastating war for the home Robert had left me. At first, Vanessa seemed harmless, helpful. Even she offered to refresh the house, saying it was too traditional. "You have beautiful taste, Miss Ward," she'd tell me. But homes need to evolve, right? Soon my living room no longer felt like mine. Curtains Robert and I had chosen together disappeared, replaced by sleek grey drapes that made everything feel cold. The family photos were quietly moved to a hallway. "It's just to make the space more modern," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Jason, blinded by love, noticed nothing when I tried to speak. He brushed it off. "Mom, she's just trying to help. Don't take it personally." So I stayed silent. I didn't want to be the bitter mother-in-law, but slowly my home stopped feeling like home. Vanessa began hosting parties with her co-workers. The music was loud, the laughter louder. When I appeared, conversation always stopped. "Mum, maybe you should rest," Jason would say softly. "We'll take care of everything." And I'd go upstairs, my chest tight, pretending I didn't hear them laugh after I left. Then came the whispers. One night I overheard Vanessa telling Jason, "Your mum's getting older. Wouldn't she be happier somewhere smaller, maybe a senior residence?" I froze. Jason hesitated. "She's my mother," he said quietly. "I can't just kick her out." Vanessa laughed. "Of course not. We'll make it sound like it's for her own good." That night I cried until dawn. I had lost my husband, and now I was losing my son, to a woman who saw me not as family, but as an obstacle. And deep down, I knew something worse was coming, because when greed enters a home, love doesn't stand a chance. Months passed, and my world kept shrinking. Vanessa's perfume lingered in every room. Her shoes cluttered the hallway. Her laughter echoed down the stairs, like I was a guest in my own home. Jason worked longer hours, leaving before dawn and returning after dark. He no longer ate with me. They dined behind closed doors, their laughter muffled but unmistakable. My son was slipping away, one silent dinner at a time. When I tried to talk to him, he'd sigh. "Mom, please stop overthinking you and Vanessa. Just need time." Time, that word became a wall between us. One evening, Vanessa came into the kitchen while I was cooking Jason's favorite meal, chicken stew, the recipe Robert loved. She wrinkled her nose. "This smell sticks to everything," she said. "Maybe use this candle." Afterward, she placed an expensive aromatherapy candle on the counter, as if I were her maid. The next morning, I found a list taped to the fridge. "Don't use the washer after 7 p.m. Knock before entering the living room. Avoid heavy cooking on weekdays. Rules in my own house." I wanted to scream, but I didn't, because Jason, my Jason, was still smiling at her like she hung the moon. Then one evening, I overheard them again. "She's stubborn," Vanessa said. "If she refuses to move, Maybe we can sell the house anyway. You're the heir, aren't you? My heart stopped. Jason's voice was faint, I guess, but that's not right. Vanessa's tone turned soft, poisonous. It's not about right or wrong, Jason. It's about starting our life together. That was the night I realized love wasn't blinding my son anymore. It was blinding me. I had spent months hoping he'd protect me, but now I needed to protect myself. It happened 2 days before my 70th birthday. I was upstairs folding laundry when I heard footsteps in my room. Vanessa stood by my dresser holding my jewelry box, the small wooden chest Robert had given me on our 10th anniversary. "What are you doing?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. She turned her expression cool, just looking. "These pieces must be worth something." I crossed the room and took it from her hands. "You have no right to touch my things." Her smile widened sharp and cruel. "Relax, Helen. I wasn't stealing. But if you ever sell them, maybe you can help with the kitchen renovation. We could finally modernize this place. This house doesn't need your touch," I said firmly. She stepped closer. "You keep saying your house, your room, but it's not really. It's ours now." "Oh." Something inside me snapped. "It's mine," I shouted. "Robert left it to me." "You have no right here." Her eyes turned dark. The fake sweetness vanished. "You're a bitter old woman clinging to the past," she hissed. "Marcus doesn't need you anymore. I'm his family now." And before I could move, she shoved me. It wasn't hard, but I wasn't expecting it. My hips slammed into the dresser. Pain shot through my side and I stumbled. My head hit the corner of the nightstand. White light exploded in my vision, warm blood trikes cleared down my face. Vanessa stared for a second, then said coldly, "You tripped. You're old and clumsy, remember that?" She walked out, closing the door behind her. I sat there on the floor, shaking, tasting blood in disbelief. The physical pain was nothing compared to what came next. The realization that the woman my son loved had just declared war. The bruise around my eye darkened fast. I tried to hide it with makeup, but nothing could mask the swelling or the ache beneath my skin. I thought about staying upstairs for the rest of the night, skipping the party Vanessa had planned. But it was my birthday, my house, my life. I refused to let her take that too. When I walked down the stairs, the room went silent. Every conversation died mid-sentence. Glasses froze in mid-air. I saw their eyes move from the balloons to my face and stop. Vanessa stood proudly beside Jason, her hand looped through his arm. My son, my only son. And then he said it. His voice was calm, almost smug. It was my wife who taught her a lesson, so she'd learned some respect. A sharp gasp cut through the crowd. I felt my knees weaken. The humiliation hit harder than the fall. My brother Raymond stepped forward, his voice trembling with anger. What kind of man lets his wife raise a hand to his mother and then brags about it? Jason's face paled. "Uncle, it's not. Your father would be ashamed of you," Raymond snapped. Vanessa tried to laugh, but no one joined her. The air was thick with shock. Guests whispered, some excused themselves quietly. Someone offered to call the police, but I shook my head. My pride, my last defense, kept me standing. Vanessa placed a hand on Jason's arm. Pretending to be calm, she provoked me. She said, her voice sharp and trembling. I was defending myself. Raymond glared at her. "Defending yourself from what?" "Her existence." That was the moment the mask cracked. The perfect couple everyone admired now stood exposed, cruelty and cowardice in plain view. And I knew right then the woman who had stolen my peace would soon lose everything. The CE. Chaos was still echoing when the front door opened. A calm, familiar voice cut through the tension. "Good evening," said Thomas Reed, our longtime family attorney and my late husband's friend. "I heard there's some confusion about this house." Vanessa straightened instantly, her fake smile snapping back into place. "There's no confusion. Everyone knows the house is in Helen's name. Jason's her son. He'll inherit it anyway." Thomas adjusted his glasses, his voice steady. "That's not quite true. Robert Ward's will includes a protective clause." "It's why I came tonight." The room fell silent again. He opened a folder, revealing the yellowed pages of Robert's will. "Your husband was a wise man." Mrs. Ward, he wanted to ensure you were never forced out of your home. Jason frowned. What does that mean? Thomas read slowly, each word like a gavel strike. If Helen Ward is ever pressured, coerced, or forced to leave this property by any member of her family, the estate will not transfer to the heir. It will instead be donated entirely to the St. Jude's Senior Wellness Fund. Gasps filled the room. Vanessa turned pale. Thomas continued 3 weeks ago. Someone requested an appraisal of this property under a different name, Vanessa Cole. There was also an inquiry about declaring Helen Ward legally incompetent to manage her assets. Both came from the same number registered to Miss Cole. Vanessa's voice trembled. That's not true. Thomas met her gaze calmly. It's documented. Jason's voice cracked. You tried to declare my mother incompetent. Vanessa's mouth opened, but no words came out. The silence that followed was worse than any scream. That night, truth didn't just enter the room, it shattered every lie that had lived there. Vanessa's mask shattered completely. You're lying, she screamed, her voice cracking. This is all fake. Thomas stayed calm. Miss Cole, these are official documents. Your husband's late father wanted to protect his wife from exactly this kind of manipulation. Jason stared at her, pale and trembling. You tried to take my mother's house. You tried to make her look incompetent. Vanessa's voice turned desperate. I did it for us. You said this house should be ours, that your mom doesn't need all this space. Raymond stepped forward. So you decided to take it by force, by lies. She glared at him. You all act like she's some saint. She's just a lonely old woman afraid of being replaced. Replaced? Jason repeated quietly. His tone was flat broken. You hit her, you humiliated her in front of everyone. You tried to destroy the only person who's ever truly loved me. Vanessa's tears came then, but they weren't remorse. They were rage. You're pathetic, she spat. Both of you deserve to rot in this miserable house. Thomas closed the folder. Mrs. Ward, you are fully protected by law. If either of them continue to pressure you, the property will transfer directly to charity. Your husband made sure of that? Raymond crossed his arms. So if she keeps pushing, she loses everything. Jason turned to Vanessa, eyes hollow. Pack your things, she laughed bitterly. You're really choosing her over me. Jason's answer was quiet but final. No, I'm choosing what's right. And just like that, Vanessa's empire of manipulation crumbled, her charm, her power, her mask, all gone. She left that night slamming the door behind her, unaware that it was the last time she'd ever set foot in this house. When the door slammed shut behind her, the sound echoed through every room like thunder after a long storm. For the first time in months, the house was silent. No perfume, no laughter, no rules taped to the fridge, just quiet. Jason stood in the middle of the living room. Staring at the floor, he looked like a boy, again lost, a shamed small mom. He whispered, I don't know how I let this happen. I thought I was protecting my marriage, but I was destroying you. I wanted to comfort him, but the hurt was too deep. You didn't just destroy me, Jason, I said softly. You destroyed what we had. Tears filled his eyes. You're right. I failed you. Raymond spoke from behind me, his voice steady. Helen needs peace now. Let her breathe. You should stay somewhere else for a while. Jason turned to me, pleading, Mom, please don't send me away. I can't lose you too. My chest ached, but I knew what I had to do. Jason, I love you, I said quietly, but I need space to heal. For now you have to go. He nodded slowly, tears falling. I understand when he hugged me goodbye. It was the kind of embrace that carries both love and regret. Later that night I stood by the window and watched his car disappear down the street for the first time in a long while. I wasn't afraid of being alone. The house that had been my prison now felt like mine again. Not because Vanessa was gone, but because I had finally chosen myself. And though the air still smelled faintly of the storm she left behind, I could feel something new beginning to bloom peace. Days passed in a blur of quiet mornings and long nights. The bruise around my eye faded, but the ache inside didn't. Raymond stayed with me for a few days cooking, talking, and reminding me that I wasn't alone. Then, one evening, the phone rang. It was Jason. His voice trembled. "Mom, please listen. I hired a private investigator. I needed to know who Vanessa really was." My heart pounded as he spoke. "She's done this before twice, both times to older men with property. She married them, drained their accounts, then left before anyone could stop her. She has gambling debts, Mom, tens of thousands of dollars." The silence on the line was heavy. Jason's voice cracked. "She never loved me. She just wanted what Dad built for you. I was blind, and I let her turn me against you." Tears filled my eyes, not just for the betrayal, but for my son's brokenness. "Jason," I whispered, "you can't undo the past, but you can choose what kind of man you'll be next." He came the next day, standing at my doorway like a boy asking forgiveness. He looked thinner, humbled. We sat in the garden Robert had planted, where the roses were just beginning to bloom again. "I started therapy," he said quietly. "The counselor says what Vanessa did was manipulation, gaslighting, but she couldn't have succeeded if I hadn't wanted to. Believe her." I nodded. "That's how control works. It doesn't take your strength all at once. It takes it piece by piece until you forget who you are." Jason looked at me, tears brimming. "Can you forgive me?" I took his hand gently. "Not today, but someday maybe." And for the first time since the chaos began, I believed both of us might heal. 2 years passed. The house that once echoed with tension was alive again. Light poured through, the same windows Vanessa once called outdated, and laughter replaced the silence she left behind. Jason changed too. He rebuilt his life slowly, therapy, work, reflection. Each visit, he came a little stronger, a little more like the man I'd raised. One afternoon he arrived with someone new. Claire, a gentle-eyed schoolteacher who smiled with genuine warmth. "Miss Ward," she said, shaking my hand, "Jason's told me so much about you. I hope you don't mind me being here." "I don't mind at all," I said. And I meant it. Over lunch, she asked about Robert's garden, about my roses, about life. Not money, not property. For the first time in years, I felt safe sharing my table with someone new. Weeks later, Jason asked me to sit on the porch. "Mom," he said, "I asked Claire to marry me, but before we plan anything, she wants a prenup. She said she doesn't want a penny that isn't hers." Tears filled my eyes, not from sadness, but relief. "You have my blessing." I told him the wedding was small and beautiful, surrounded by people who had survived storms of their own. During his vows, Jason's voice trembled. "I've learned that love without respect isn't love. It's control, and family without honesty isn't family, it's a prison." That night, sitting alone on my porch under the stars, I whispered to the memory of Robert, "You were right. You built this house to protect us." And it did, because sometimes strength isn't in fighting. It's in standing firm quietly until truth does the talking for you. And peace is the most beautiful revenge there is. There are moments when silence screams the loudest, and on my birthday it did. But the strength of a woman isn't in how much she endures. It's in knowing when enough is enough, and in those who refuse to let her stand alone. That day, I found my voice. But more importantly, I remembered my worth. Thank you for watching this video. Share your thoughts in the comments. I truly value every story and every voice. Don't forget to subscribe to Tears and Strength and share this video with your friends.